What's a major incident that happened in your school? 1. Somebody called in a bomb threat. Possibly to avoid a test, SWAT team showed up and everything. 2. Somebody took a shit in the halls or the staircase because our principal only allowed one boy to enter restrooms at a time and he really had to go. On the second one, I had a teacher denying a student bathroom access, stating, "If you need to use the bathroom, then prove it." Needless to say, his point was very much proved. Someone burned our school down. We had to finish school in those little trailers that construction companies use as offices in construction sites. We made shirts saying, "Graduated from school name, trailer park." I like how this post is in such a normal tone. Classmate was killed from a single punch in a fist fight. He had asked the assistant principal to leave early to avoid it but was denied. And even though the assistant principal knew that a fight was probably going to happen, he did nothing to try to prevent it. Guy kept his job but the school paid out millions. Rest in peace TJ. RIP. The school system is screwed. 1. Someone got on the intercom and played pumped up kicks for the whole school while his teacher was out of the class. People were calling their parents terrified and we had police called in. 2. Not major, but this one guy took a dump on the bathroom floor for $10. Was suspended for 3 days. Then did it again for another $10. 3. Edited in. One of the middle school teachers had a sexual relationship with a high school student for a while. After they were discovered and on court orders not to see each other, he still hooked up with her like 9 more times before he got his sentence. 4. Edited in. Some random car pulled up to the smoke pit and pepper sprayed everyone before driving away. Greater than not major, but this one guy took a dump on the bathroom floor for $10. Was suspended for 3 days. Then did it again for another $10. Mad lads. He got 6 free days off of school and an easy $20 winning. Some kid who was suspended showed up to school high on coke demanding to be let in. Threw a table at a glass door and broke it. Then tried to fight a security guard with a fire extinguisher. Rock and roll baby. Our school is super rural and at the peak only had 4 African American students. All of them were very popular. And one of them was in my sister's class. He was an alright healthy individual, and one day he was in the gym playing basketball and fainted and died. For a week our school mourned. And teachers the day of just played movies or made us read. The reason why I bring up race is that the student body all wore Black Power bracelets in remembrance of him during basketball games. Edit. I talked to some of my old high school friends and I got my facts wrong. Another African student was nicknamed Black Power, and the student body all wore black magic bracelets in remembrance. IDK if it's better or worse. Someone set chicken nuggets on fire in the microwave and triggered the fire alarm, which meant a fire drill. A couple months earlier I had accidentally burned some Chips Ahoy cookies trying to melt the chocolate chips. This was all in middle school. To this day, every time I see someone from that school they ask me about the time I set the nuggets on fire, which I never did. Out of all the crap I pulled at that school, including a different microwave fire, the only thing I'm remembered for is the thing I never did. I know the feeling of being blamed for something that you didn't do, but no matter what, no one believes you. I have a story about that, but it's pretty gross, so I'll spare you the details. 1. A pregnant assistant principal was punched in the stomach deliberately. 2. 2 APs were caught having sex in an empty room and they were both married. 3. A fight broke out after someone pulled a fire alarm during a pep rally. Multiple APs and school security guards became involved in what must have been a 20-minute brawl, which moved on to a main street, then entered the other side of the school. The head principal yelled at everyone on the PA for about 5 minutes after it ended. 4. There were multiple fake shooting threats. Sounds like an eventful year. Someone spilled milk behind a shelf on a Friday. On Monday, the carpets really stank. I lived a sheltered life. High school teacher got caught sleeping with his student. Got fired. Went to jail. Got out. Left his wife with whom he had 2 kids. Kept seeing the student. Got hitched. Had another kid with her. And they're still together. Not quite as extreme. But there was a teacher at my HS who got fired for sexual misconduct with a student, occurring at the school itself. The kicker: the teacher's wife also taught at the school, and she was a former student of his. Felt awful for her. It was a whole thing for a while. I see a pattern. 1. A girl gave her boyfriend a BJ right in the middle of the crowded cafeteria. When a teacher noticed and started yelling at them, the dude must have panicked and pushed her head down because she ended up throwing up all over his. 2. A kid was expelled for masturbating to furry porn in the computer lab. The librarian walked in on "Hi, monsieur." 3. Somebody somehow managed to sneak in a dismembered deer carcass and scattered various parts around the school hallways. Turn a corner and bam! A severed deer head staring right at you. If it would have been regular porn, I wouldn't have snitched on "Hi, monsieur." The librarian. Probably. A female student in my class had a teacher she really didn't like for whatever reason. One day when the teacher entered the classroom, she had her feet on her desk. So he told her something like, "Get your feet down. You're not at the beach." So, that girl took advantage, and complained to the school principal that this teacher implied he wanted to see her in a bathing suit. The teacher obviously denied it, but the girl doubled down and got the parents' union involved, and there was a massive outcry about sexually harassing teachers in the school. There was a protest outside the school gate one morning organized by the girl's parents, and I think the local newspaper reported the story. The teacher got fired eventually. The thing is, there were plenty of witnesses to what happened that could say she was full of bullshit and the teacher did nothing wrong, but she was one of the popular girls. So everybody kinda decided to not get involved. So there's a Megan in every school? Good to know. Fucking Megans. This makes me so sad to read, knowing that the teacher couldn't do anything about it. A pupil committed suicide in our school. People did some digging and it turned out a lad has been bullied heavily that his parents and friends have reported to the teachers and school for a long time. But they failed to act. So when the news crew arrived, the school went into full damage control and threatened kids to not talk to the press, otherwise they'll get a detention, while at the same time doing this anti-bully week, putting up posters, and trying to create this illusion that this was happy and safe school. It was a really weird time. A few months later, another pupil committed suicide. I'd make sure to mention to the press that I was threatened with detention if I were one of the kids there. Out of curiosity, did the press learn about the bullying problem you guys had? Kind of. It was written in one article that the parents reported to the school several times and that the pupil had been pelted with food the previous days. But I know there was more from my other classmates that the press didn't know about. But the school put this "we have this anti-bullying policy" and phase in hopes to paint themselves good in front of the press. Once the story died down and press left, the school gave up on that very quickly. I can't remember if it was true, but one kid was talking to the press, got interrupted by one staff member, told to go away, and later brought that kid in the teacher office to be shouted at. Whether he was telling the press something or just joking about it made the school look so shady. But the problems were still there and the school kinda got away with it. I think the ones who did talk were pushed off as just some dumb kid who don't know any better, and the main responses came from the headmaster mouth. From my time of the incident to myself leaving, nothing changed much. Everyone in the school continued on as before with no accountability, and those involved were held no responsibility. Even now, 8 years after leaving, I still hear stories. Back in elementary school, a kid tried to start a fire in the toilet to burn down the school. He was caught by a teacher who walked by and he was caned in front of the whole school as punishment. OMG, I think you know my dad. That was hi monsieur. I will watch this thread with great interest. I am intrigued by this story. A guy I knew kinda, who was my classmate and some reason decided to be a troublemaker, ended up stealing a card on school campus and riding it. He had to pay building damages from running it into the wall, which ended up with him going to juvenile detention and transferring to a different school district. Lots of kids ended up recording this moment on Instagram, monsieur. And where is my shared link for this Instagram post? The account itself removed all of its posts. It was mostly based on memeing what happens in school, since a lot of chaos happened there. Like someone bombing the bathroom, a guy breaking into an area blocked off, and someone memed it as the Elmo holding a pole fire meme. Our principal said, "hot butt sex," on the announcements. He was trying to say, "hot butt steaks," which is just as weird. Well, you can't say no to some hot butt sex. I used to sell furniture, and the amount of times I said sexual when showing customers as sectional is alarming. I have two. I go to a boarding school that claims the best school security out there. My first year there, these three boys that I was actually friends with snuck off campus by just going over the small white fence, and the alarms didn't go off. The school found out real quick. They snuck off because they were missing and were making sure they were in their rooms. They were already known to be troublemakers, and that's how they knew something was up. Second incident. This super annoying guy who used himself being gay as a personality trait got his head beaten in with a golf club for harassing the dude's roommate. Cops were called and everything. This kid would also moan in the hallways to get people's reactions, and then turn around and call people homophobic for telling him to stop moaning because it makes everyone uncomfortable. By head, do you mean his peen or his cranium? Peen. Some girl wrote a note in the girls' bathroom that had a bomb threat on it 3 times in the span of a week. The first 2 times the school was evacuated. I think the third was actually a shooting threat, so we had the shelter in place. A kid at my high school overdosed on the bathroom while the rest of the class was watching a video about the dangers of drugs. He was expelled 1 week before graduation. I don't know whatever happened to hi monsieur. In one of my rival middle schools in Georgia, a kid overdosed and died in the bathroom, monsieur. Some kid died by breaking his neck. He tilted with his chair but fell backwards and hit his neck at a table. This is the kid the teachers have been warning us about. Well, I am now scared for eternity to do that again. 1. Naked second grader ran around our school in 5th grade twice. 2. School shooting threat in 8th grade. Nothing you love more than some naked second grade butts interrupting your class. Yes, officer, this comment right here. The whole school smelled like weed, and some kids had like 3 pounds of weed in a locker. They got tipped off that the principal called the cops, and they knew it was them, so they scrambled and hid the weed all over the school. The cops came and they all kept quiet, and no one found any weed. It was me. I was the kid with the weed. Where do you hide it? I don't need sleep, I need dancers. You're lucky they didn't take your weed. I'm just interested. Where did you hide the weed after you got tipped off? There is a huge forest close to the school. I just got my friend to hide it there. When I was much younger, my grade 7 teacher's assistant was charged and fired for allegedly having sexual with a student. School was grade 7 to 8. My teacher, who was friends with him, always said he didn't do it. In grade 9, one of the kids in my math and gym classes was found dead, shot multiple times on the side of a road. I knew him, and he was involved in a lot of gang stuff and general bad shit. The school basically didn't even acknowledge it because he dropped out 4 months into grade 9 and died 2 months later, so he technically wasn't a student. I only know about it because I saw it in the news and recognized the kid. I went to middle school on a military base, and there was a stretch of time where people kept throwing simulation grenades on campus. Kid pulled a knife on another student. It was only a pocket knife, but he threatened the kid with a fucking knife, so he was expelled by 4th period. Happened before school started. Edit. We'll give more details if wanted. I feel like that was an appropriate action tbh. This one girl threatened to slash up my face with an X-Acto knife. I told the guidance counselor and she said, "It's only an X-Acto knife. Nothing will happen." Guess whose left shoulder and ear got slashed up with an X-Acto knife while my back was turned in the cafeteria? Yeah, the two had been fighting the whole year on. The kid who pulled a knife was white and had called the victim, who was black, the N-word multiple times. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.